This is Kevin Tanner coming to you with a review here of the Micro Galaxy Squadron Millennium Falcon. So we're going to go ahead and walk through the packaging, what comes with it. We'll talk about the features of it, do some measurements, and then also size comparison. So we'll start with just the packaging. So this box is massive. So really big, kind of hard to even get in the camera frame here. So you can see it's got the Millennium Falcon on it. If you turn it over on the back here, it shows you all of the different features. It does have lights and sound, which is nice. Shows you all of the different classes that come in this line, which is really cool. This is one of the only boxes that has all of the classes on it. And that is basically the box. Now, on the inside of the box, so behind the blister pack, is actually this gigantic scene. So this is actually really cool to finally see. So in a lot of the other packages, you get bits and pieces of this scene. So this does help to cement this Millennium Falcon as, you know, basically the flagship of this Series 1, where now you get a chance to see all of the battle scene that happens. Again, when you're getting a lot of the different pieces to it, you just get little parts of this actual image. So really cool to finally see it all together. And it makes for great display if you end up using it that way. So this one also comes with directions. So I was pretty happy to see that it came with directions because I was wondering how I was going to put batteries in it. But here is the front of it. It just shows you what comes with the ship. You get the Millennium Falcon, you get your figures, radar dish, the gun. Shows you how to put the batteries in. You do need 3 AAAs here to do it. And then you flip it over here and it shows you all of the instructions. So how to do the sound, what the sounds are, all of the different pitches and rolls. And then also you can see here, you know, some of the other things here that will happen, as well as some of the different features of the ship itself. So let's go ahead and dive in. So here is the actual, well, let's do the figures first before we get into the actual ship. So you get Han Solo. So pretty great paint detail on him. He's got a little holstered gun there. Nice to have his belt a different color. Pretty good paint application for something this small. You then get Princess Leia, the iconic Leia with the hair buns. So not a whole lot to her because she's just in a white robe, but nice detail on that one. Chewbacca. So Chewbacca, the plastic that they used is kind of like an opaque type of a plastic. So his color looks a little weird, but the detail on him looks great. The fur looks really good. The belt looks nice. The size comparison relative to Han actually works out pretty nice too, because he's taller. So it's one of the only figures in the line that's actually bigger than the standard one. And then you get Obi-Wan. So the older Obi-Wan, pretty cool little lightsaber hilt on him. Great detail on the robe. I think they did a great job with the detail of these figures. The ones that are painted look way better than the ones that are not painted. But those are the figures. But now what we really want to see is the actual ship. Oh yeah, here's the little figure pack that they all come in. Which is pretty cool. So, first we'll start just on the outside here. So this is one of the ships where doing the wash actually really helps a lot. There's so many details to this. It's amazing. This kind of reminds me almost of like a Bandai model kit in terms of how much detail you get, because again, you can see with the wash that's in there, all the detail on the little parts in the engine that's popping out. You can see it here on the front, really all the way around the back, and then on the sides. So this is one where you know, the wash kind of helps some. It is still a pretty thick wash. So go all the way around the side. And this is my only problem with the one that I have, is that the wash kind of like almost looks like it ran a little bit right here. So I'm planning to try to clean that up here at some point. And then here's the underside of it. Again, really nice details in there. And even inside of where the landing gear is. So let's, we can stick right here really quick with just the landing gear. So the nice thing is that the landing gear moves together, so you don't have to try to move all the 5 pieces together, which is nice. So I like that we're able to get that. The landing gear does look a little bit chunky, but I don't really care that much. Especially when it's in this landed position, because you can't really see it. But the great thing is when you close it up, it does look a little bit nicer, a little more seamless, although you can see the seams. And then you get the radar dish here. So the radar dish does turn some. It doesn't really move up and down. I thought it was going to. It looks like it has a little hinge piece on there, but I think it's glued. I just didn't want to break it. And then you've got your gun turret here. So this whole turret spins, as well as the gun goes up and down. So the position of the gun looks kind of weird with it being on the back like that, but I see that that's the only reason, that's the only way that you could really put it on there. And then you have your cockpit here that opens. The great thing about the cockpit, and there's great detail in here too, is that you get the 4 seats. When you put the figures in, Han and Chewbacca that sit in here pretty nicely, and they stick in. The ones that, whoever you put in the back, if you were gonna fly this thing around, they're gonna move around in there. So there's no way to really secure them in those seats. But again, it doesn't really make a difference. When you have it closed like that, you can't see them anyways. So it doesn't make a difference really to me. And then we'll go ahead and pop this thing open. So you can see from the side here that it's got a gap there. That's because most of this comes apart. So if we just pull up on the side, we'll go ahead and pop it loose. And just so you can see how that sticks on there. So you can see you've got like a little groove here on either side, and then you have like a little tongue part here on the front. So you do have to pry up the back of it to pop it off and take the whole thing off of there. But there it is removed. And this really reminds me a lot of a playset, because ultimately there's so much stuff that you can do inside of it. So it's kind of cool. It's like the Millennium Falcon, but then you can also, you know, play with it some. So here it is on the inside. You've got actually like a little hidden compartment here. So that thing's already popped out, so you can see that. Here is where your batteries go in. Just unscrew that, go ahead and put the battery in there. These are your 2 buttons to operate the lights and sound, which we'll do here in a minute. And then you can see here is the little table where they can play whatever that game is that they're playing. And again, some great detail on the interior of this. And again, this is where the wash kind of works. You can see the wash pulled up a little bit in there, so I may go in there and clean up some of that where it's just kind of dried funny. One other thing to this too is that this ramp actually goes down. So the one thing about this ramp, you can actually see there are some little teeth right there. So I'll try to do this really quick, but you kind of have to be careful with it, because the teeth will catch and it could potentially break. But there you go, popped open for me. So that comes down. And so you can see right there, as I was trying to get this loose initially, you can see that piece is bent a little bit. It doesn't really make a difference to me, again, because I'm not really trying to push this thing down anyways, and the figures can't go in there, so it doesn't matter, but just a nice little feature to it. So pop that back in. All right, so now one last thing is actually this gun turret. So you can actually see in here, you can put the figure inside of there, and then this thing spins all the way around. And then there is a little notch right there, and there's a little notch right there on the actual turret, so you can turn this, and then you can take the whole thing out. So pretty cool feature to have. I mean, one of the only ones where you can actually put somebody inside of it. And so you can actually see if we put a figure in there, you can see them inside. And they'll actually stick in here okay because of how the legs work. So you can see he's inside. And so even if I flip this upside down, he'll stay in there. Put that back in. There we go. So now I can turn it around and shoot. So that is that on the major features of this. So now we'll go ahead and do some of the lights and sounds. So this has quite a few things that it'll do. And I'm sure this is probably different for everybody, but this is like super loud. So I don't know if you can hear how loud that is, but that's the gun. So this is the middle button I'm pressing. So if you hold it down, it just runs a continuous loop, as you can see right there. And then for the button 1, this will start the engine. And then you do it again. And then there are some movable features to it as well. So if you angle it up, it makes the sound as if it's taking off. If you angle it down, it makes a different sound. To the left, to the right. And so let's see here, if we flip it over, it's a different sound. And then let's go back and forth. And so those are the major sounds. So there is an extra feature to this. I'm trying to read the directions really quick to see if I can figure it out, where you can actually get the engine to not work. But let's see if we can figure it out. There we go. So you press it once, like it's getting started, and then you press and hold it. Yeah, I don't know how I got that to work, but it worked on one of them. So when this is going like this, to turn it off, you just push it one time and then it turns off, which is nice. So, you know, if you were playing around with this thing and messing around with the sound and you wanted to stop, you could just go ahead and do it. Now, I was messing around with this the other day, and the gyroscope in it that changes the sound is relatively touchy. So if you're kind of going to the left and to the right, you can kind of hear how it clips over. So it's kind of like unsure what sound it wants to make. But either way, I think it's awesome that it actually has the lights and sound to it. That's the one thing that really makes it for me. So now let's go ahead and do some measurements of this. So from top to bottom, this is about 10 inches long. From side to side, it's about 8. And then top to bottom, without the gun on there, it's maybe 2.5. Well, with the satellite dish on there, it's 3-ish. So that is that. And then if you look at this compared to the Action Fleet Millennium Falcon, you can see obviously a massive difference in the size. The Action Fleet version is significantly smaller. It has less features, but it kind of is what it is. Totally different toy line. So it's kind of like the Millennium Falcon's little brother. So that is that with the Millennium Falcon. So if you like the video, please go ahead and hit subscribe. Feel free to leave any questions or comments below, and thanks for watching.